Buongiorno. Just give me a moment here, please. All right. So let's get started here. Let's figure this out. What the hell is going on? All right. So we're going to start with the equal weighted S&P. Uh, touched the previous high, pulled back as we talked about yesterday. The dividends, more or less the same. The VIX has spiked out again, but it's not doing a very convincing job of breaking through, right? So I think the new way of approaching charts for you guys, maybe this will help you figure out what's going on, is to ask yourself, what is this thing trying to do? And, how good of a job is it doing it? Uh, so is it doing a really good job breaking out? Yeah, we have a structure above a structure. Everything looks great and everything, but it's not doing a very good job breaking through, right? So, we're still in limbo, right? We're still just kind of waiting for that next tweet, for that, for that next, vaccine headline or whatever the hell. They've been playing this now for 7 months. It's boring, right? But people keep falling for it. Let's take a look at the New York Stock Exchange. It has pulled back after breaking the previous high, okay, and it's done it, quite convincingly because, and let me take this off, and again, before I take this off, please take a note that this structure was pointing down and the move was higher, right? On top of that, the structure looked kind of funky, right? It didn't look very symmetrical. It didn't look very. It wasn't a wave three down. Okay, so this would be identified as a limp tick, and then this pushes to the upper side. Okay, so just pay attention to these things because they're important. All right, so what happened now? Well, this is what happened. Let me take this. Take the bottom one off. All right, so there we are. So we've broken this uptrend now, right? So this is not good. We do expect some kind of a pullback at previous high because it's a potential area reversal. But when it starts to break structures, it's not again doing a very good job, but just doing a normal pullback to push higher. Okay, so we're still again in that fuzzy kind of area. Dow Jones, all right, gapped lower, filled the gap, gapped, filled the gap, and now has broken the subtrend line. Not looking very good. All right, so the signals are not really good. S&P 500, okay, had a really nice breakout, having a pullback. That's okay. That's kind of normal. Again, I would characterize this as elliptic, right? It's kind of like, right, and then it pops, right? Now, going into yesterday, we talked about taking the short, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. And that was right into the close. And I was using the NASDAQ for that, right? I said there was a head and shoulders, look for the downside, take quick profits. The second end of the day, and then that was the day before, I said take the head and shoulders. Or was it? No, yesterday morning, actually. Okay, take quick profits. And then wait for the next setup. Well, the next setup came literally, I'm not kidding, in the last 2 minutes of the trading session yesterday, where we had this structure, 1, 2, 3 up, it hooked over, and then in the last 5 minute bar, price came down, broke, and then continued lower. And I said, you can take this short. It's a bear flag. It's breaking down, right? And I put this arrow in here. And sure enough, there you go. And that's the point of bare knuckle charting, right? When you're trying to identify areas of good risk reward, okay? You take a short, it goes back up, you take a small loss. It goes in your favor, you're going to make a lot of money, right? So, um, no matter where you chose to stop out, okay, the risk would have been about this, right? Well, actually more, but anyway, you get the point, right? It's about this. Okay, that's the risk. And what's the reward? Well, look at the reward. Look at the reward, right? Very nice reward. Now, I was asked yesterday, how do you know when to take profits? Well, that's a very good question, and it's two-part, but from a technical standpoint, right, when it starts to break the uptrend line and the structure. And remember, why do we need the structures? Well, we need a valid structure. We need something that has 3 waves with a hook with 4 points. We can validate that structure, what the market is doing, right? And then once we validate the structure, we see which way it's pointing, and then the likelihood is it's going to do something in the opposite direction. So what is the structure showing us here, which is clearly a 1, 2, 3 down? You should be able to recognize that by now, is that it's pointing down, and the next move is going to be up. All right. How much is it going to be up? I don't know. That's not our job to know. But if you were short in here, okay, once it broke the structure, you say, okay, well, now it's going into a pause. It's going into a next wave. It's doing whatever the hell it's doing. Right? You should be taking profits. Very important. So now, what are we doing? What are we doing now? Well, we are making this new structure now. Okay, it's trying to bottom. It's trying to bottom. This you cannot validate this. This looks garbage, right? So there's nothing here. You have a one wave up, which is from the lowest point. That's where we always. Oops. That's where we always start the count. The lowest point. Right. So that's here. So you have a 1. You have a 2. And now you're having some kind of a 3 up. How high? I don't know. Wait for it to go to wherever it's got to go and then hook. And then we're going to reassess whatever structure comes out of this. All right? But it is trying to bottom for now. All right? How good of a job is it doing bottoming? It's just pausing. That's it. It's correcting through time. Yes, it's a 5-minute chart. Yes, but we're talking about short-term charting here, right? But the short-term charting applies to the bigger charts, right? Weeklies, dailies, monthlies, whatever. It's the same. It's the same concept. It's the same. It's fractals, right? It's just the way the market moves. Now, again, does it look normal? If you just kind of step back and you say, okay, we went up, we had our head and shoulders, it broke down, right? Far exceeded the target area. And what is the target area? Well, there's from the top of the head to the neckline, and then you take that amount and project it down, then that should be quote unquote the target area, whatever. Well, we exceeded that, right? So it's ugly. We also broke a structure on the way up. Okay. So sorry. So here's the way we count this. 1, 2, 3. Where's the structure going? Straight up. right? What's the next move going to be? Down, right? It's the same things over and 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 over again. So, can this be a wave two? Can this be, something else? I don't know. Okay. We can certainly make an argument that it has a little bit lower to go, and I'll show you why here. Because you always got to keep your eyes on the bigger structures, right? What is it really doing in the grand scheme of things? And you can uh, project this all the way out and say that, you know, it can make one more move down, and then within this structure in here, okay, be bullish. Get one more up. Let me take this off. Right? Maybe comes down here and then starts going to the upside again. All right? So don't get overly bearish. We're not there yet. All right? We're still within a structure, a channel um, that the bias is to the upside. Still. Yes, we broke this trend line. Okay? But this is a shorter trend line from the overall picture. All right? I hope this is starting to make sense to you now. Now, the fact that we didn't come all the way to the bottom here, right? That shows there's a sign of bullishness if that holds, right? Because if it's not weak enough to make it all the way to the bottom of the trend line, as it did back here, which did it in a wick kind of fashion, right? Just came down, tapped it, and then popped right back up. Okay, then that's bullish. That's bullish. So you cannot get too bearish right now. Especially it broke this trend line. It's pausing. It's doing whatever. It never really had that strength to sell. All right. Now, let's take a look at the bigger picture. Okay. If this does end up being the right end pattern, right? The M pattern, the right side of the M pattern. And what I'm talking about, and let me see if I can, well, I can't do it. I still don't have that drawing tool. But anyway, if this ends up being that right M pattern, and it certainly does have all the makings of it, okay, um, then we're going to know when this structure, this right structure here, right in here, this thing, when this starts to break, okay, I can pretty much guarantee you that it's game over for a while. Okay, that we'll probably this is it. We'll top out. We're gonna go into a bear market, and everything will start to fall apart. All right, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. But if that does happen, the the likelihood of going into a bear market is going to be very high. I'm not going to say going into a recession because we're already in one, right? I would say we're going into a depression. So let me take a lot of this stuff out. We don't need that anymore. So this is going to be a very key area. It's going to be a very key area on this support line to keep an eye on, right? And you can see the market is pushing higher now, right? See it? Needs to push higher. So that's bullish. We're not expecting lower. It's trying to bottom. We've said that. Especially in the last 40 minutes of trading, some tweet is going to come out, some whatever, vaccines, yeah, whatever. Okay. All right. So, um, we're going to pay close attention to that. Okay. To see how this is going to form, and this is something that I also said for a while now, that the market doesn't, as much as we want it to, it doesn't do this. Okay, it just doesn't do it. It has to be ready to go down. And even if we go back in time when we were euphoric, okay, it's very difficult for a market to go like this, unless it's an Eiffel Tower. And we talked about Eiffel Towers before, right? And it is a form of an Eiffel Tower. 35% correction. Fuck, it's an Eiffel Tower. But we're talking about the kind of Eiffel Tower where it's even more of a 35% correction. That's That's very difficult in an index. It's very difficult to do. So you get a 35% correction as an Eiffel Tower in an index. That's huge. I mean, you're talking about you lost 35% of the entire value of the stock market. That, another another 65, you're at zero, right? You got a lot bigger problems. That's unrealistic. Okay, but you still have people. You gotta buy the dip. It's like, yeah, okay. To buy the dip, you gotta sell first. Otherwise, you're writing the fucker down. They're so stupid. These people. They have no common sense. None. Zero. They're just a bunch of losers that think they're gonna talk smart. They're idiots. You can't buy the dip unless you sell. Hello, hello. God, man, people are fucking stupid as shit. I can't stand it. I always got some dumb shit to say. Unbelievable. Makes me crazy. Right? Anyway, um, so we need the market to prepare itself to um, to drop if it is going to drop. I don't know if it's going to. Maybe it doesn't drop, but the probabilities really increase if you get an M pattern. Okay, and you can go back to any topping chart. You will see it. I've shown it before in the past. I'm not going to do it today. Taking a look at the small caps. Okay, back into structure. All right. You had a high base, popped down, popped back up, right? This is what we were talking about. That yeah, you might get a drop, but look for the pop, right? So here's a head and shoulders. It's technically right, okay. That dropped and now it popped, right? So we were actually expecting that in the Nasdaq and S&P as well. Didn't happen, but it did happen in the Russell, right? Uh, it's a fuckery move, right? So it's a move that's going to trick you, right? But what is your compass? Look at your compass. What's your compass saying, right? There's your compass. Compass is saying up. It's not saying down. All right. Again, though, when we look at the structure, you know, if this were to break, bad things will probably happen. Let's take a look at the fags. All right. So what happened here? We had a wedge, building pressure, pushed out exactly as we expected, went into a high base, and then fell right back in. How did it fall back in? Very rapidly, right? Almost all the way to the bottom. From failed moves come fast moves in the opposite direction. And that's exactly what happened. And we're seeing it here once again. So, what's the deal now? Well, here's the deal. The deal is that you have an expansion of the structure. Okay? You have an expansion of the structure, and you can again see another wave up. Okay? Another wave up. If this were to come all the way to the bottom, it's not there yet. Okay? And it would look something like that. Or like this, I should say. All right? So that's possible. We're not there yet. Okay? We have a 1 now. If this is an expansion of the structure, it's definitely going to be a 1. All right? But again, we are looking for that M pattern. And if this is it, and I'm not going to say it is until it is, if this is it, then bad things are going to happen. M pattern. Then you expect this. All right? So, you let the charts tell you what's going on. Let the data tell you what's going on. Don't tell the data what's going on. Don't sell it cute stories. This is the absolute worst fucking thing you can do to yourself, is to convince yourself that whatever stupid story you came up with is true. You don't know if it's true. It's not up to you if it's true. Okay? You can come up with a thesis. That's fine. But, price has to confirm. And price is an advertising mechanism, right? It's not the end all be all. Eventually, it's going to reflect reality. Doesn't have to always reflect reality. Price is what you pay, value is what you get. Buffett. All right, transportations, okay, up against the previous high, failed, and we marked this yesterday. Okay, that failed. Let's go to smaller time frame. Came up, again, is it going to break just before, at, or just above, and then reverse? You don't know that. There's no way to know that. For right now, it's looking like just prior, right? Just prior to the previous high, it's starting to, behave in a manner that this could reverse. All right. Structure is valid. Had difficulties getting through. Right. Not doing a very good job grinding up, and then just fell apart. Let's take a look at the World Stock Market Index. Okay. Broke the previous high, pulling back. All right. No, it didn't break the previous high. Ugh, what am I saying? There we go. Right. Just before the previous high, fell apart. All right. Now, I don't want to get anybody overly excited about the bear side or anything like that. Okay. Can this be a pause? Can this be a pause? It does something like this. Right? It does the pause. So it comes up, does a pause, and then continues higher. Absolutely. I don't have a problem with that. Okay. That's absolutely possible. Okay. But you got to go for the next likely move. All right. The next likely move. That's what's important. And that next likely move has to start giving you signals, right? Not what you think, data. And clearly, this has broken. You can't argue that it hasn't, right? So that's a piece of information that's saying, there's weakness in the world stock market, and the likelihood is that the bias is to the downside for an M pattern. I'll leave that up there for you so we can talk about it in the future. We'll skip this. Airlines, we're still looking for the downside, so structure below structure. It didn't push higher. It's still in a bear flag. China. China. The China virus. China. China is in a high base. Okay. Kind of consolidating. Broke above the previous wedge. Okay. And looking to go higher. Right. Now we had a little bit of a fuckery move. There's no question about it. Sorry. All right. There you go. Had a little bit of a fuckery move lower and then kind of bouncing back up. But this is a consolidation. Right. It's just a high base. Emerging markets. All right. Popped back into structure. Is not doing a very good job making it to the top. It looked thrusty initially and then just kind of fell apart. All right. You had the fuckery move here. All right. So let's see how this behaves. There's not really much to chart except, again, near previous highs and it's failing. Japan. Japan. Oops. Get rid of this. Just up against the resistance here. We can make a very good argument that, again, it's in a rising wedge. All right. If this wedge breaks, then we can expect prices to come down at least to this area. Remember, this is a funky kind of index because the government is buying their stock. I mean, it's like QE for the stocks. My cigarette keeps turning off. So I don't really like it too much because it's manipulated. So soon that's coming in America. Believe me, they're going to start buying stocks. Watch. Australia up against the resistance area, inverse head and shoulders, high basing, right? Just pausing, right? And when it pauses near the top of the structure, that's bullish, right? You can make this structure, but really it's just for now high base, right? We don't get too technical about those kind of things. Nifty 50 had a high base, fell down. Is this going to hold? I don't know. It didn't do a very good job breaking the previous high. It did have a high base. It did drop, but it didn't pop today. And it had an opportunity to do so, and it didn't. So, hard to tell right now. Hard to tell. Does, the Nifty 50 have something that, can also tell us anything about an M pattern? And I would say this is probably the closest thing that you will get. You cannot break this trend line, right? The burden of proof is on the bulls, right? So let's continue. Um, Cosby, which is the Korean index, all right, is still in a high base, sideways, bullish formation. There's nothing on this one that signals an M pattern, right? Maybe you can say this, but it broke, came back in, not doing a very good job going towards the top, but it's not doing a bad job either because it is high basing. Okay, so I would say that's bullish. Okay, Europe, rising wedge, boom, straight down today. Ugly, 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 ugly. That's what you would expect, right? You get a rising wedge, a structure that's going in the opposite. And I'm sorry I keep repeating this. Believe me, I don't feel like repeating it, but for the new guys, I have to. Right? A structure's pointing in one direction, and the move is going to be in the opposite direction. Okay. Fill the gap, previous highs. Let's mark it. Okay. Previous highs fell apart. All right. Germany, same shit. Rising structure, structure below structure, rising, and goodbye. Right down. UK, back in the middle of this falling channel. That's it. All right. This is Turkish index. Skip that. Taiwan broke out, pulling back. You know, break. Uh, this could be a break test go, right? Breaks, tests, goes. Right. That would be what I would think in Taiwan stock market. Okay. Now, if that fails and comes back into structure, we'll talk about it then, because then you're going to end up with some kind of weird megaphone structure. All right. But for now, I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. It's a break test go. Brazil, Copa del Mundial de Brasil. Um, holding in the middle of nowhere. All right. This would have to break to see lower prices. Right now, it's holding, but it's in the middle of nowhere of this structure. Saudi broke out. Again, I will give this the benefit of the doubt. It's a break test go. And broke out, coming back, testing, and then what you see, a go. Okay. Oil. Right. Where is oil? Oil's all over the fucking place. It loves 40. It's happy at 40. It's content. It's peaceful. It's uh, it's vibing. Okay. Vibing at 40, 41. It's an equilibrium. It's happy. I'm gonna take off the structure because it no longer means anything. Okay. So it's just happy sitting there chilling, doing nothing. Uh, Bitcoinage, doing that wedgy little thingy. Okay, it's wedging here. All right. Uh, stand by 1 second. I have a phone call. 1 second.
Mic off. Mic on.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Had to take it. Okay, so what is it doing now? What is this structure trying to do now? Well, we're not gonna like it, but this is what it's doing. All right. It's a hook based on time mostly, um, but this looks kind of bearish, to be honest with you. I don't want to say it, but I know we have a lot of Bitcoin fans, but yeah, ultimately this looks like it's going to resolve to the downside. It's not gonna, it is a structure above a structure. Yeah, I'll give you that for the bull case. All right, definitely can't argue that. But yeah, I don't like this. I don't like this. It should have had, that thrust. How good of a job is it doing what we wanted to do? Not very good. Not very good, my friend. No, 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 no. So we'll keep an eye on this. We'll keep an eye on this. All right. Ethereum. Okay. Bunch of drops and then and then does a structure and then drops and then doesn't do a very good job falling. Okay, and then drops. I don't know. It doesn't look. It's doing something that I don't recognize. How about that? Hmm? We can make this argument that it's doing this. Let's take out everything except that last little piece so we don't confuse ourselves. All right. This is like a house roof. Not very bullish. Okay. Not very bullish. It's not doing a very good job. Going to the next point. Litecoin, kind of the same thing. Ripple, structure below structure. This looks bearish. This looks more bearish than any of them. I mean, it's a crypto, but whatever. And this is what I'm talking about. The type of Eiffel Tower people are talking about. That it's going to just collapse back down to zero or something. That's never going to happen in an index. And if it does, yeah, civilization is over, my friend. It's game over. Believe me. You're gonna be, hunting for wild berries if that happens. Uh, Let me look. Gold, gold. hmm Gold. I'm not liking this setup here. Okay. Keeps trying to push through. It's not doing a very good job. All right. Bear flag. All right. So things are starting. What is the message of the market so far? That we could be in an M pattern in the Nasdaq. We know that there's some kind of a correlation between Bitcoin and the Nasdaq, right, or the stock market. So if the market goes down, Bitcoin goes down with it, even though supposedly it's supposed to be the alternative currency. You look at gold. Gold is not doing a very good job breaking out from all-time highs. It's stuck. It's stuck there, right? This is the previous all-time highs. It's up there. It's building that consolidation, which is great, but it's not doing a good job, you know. And then you zoom in a little bit closer and you look at the structure. It's a bearish structure. Yeah, it's a small time frame, but if this starts to go, you end up somewhere where you don't want to be, right? Because then you're going to start coming back into the bigger structure, and it could happen in a very uh, fast kind of way. So, I'm not liking these as of late too much. Aggregates. This is the fear indicator. Oops, I screwed that up. Whatever. Right. It looks like it wants to start to push higher. This is what I call my fear indicator. Right. It looks like it wants to start to push higher. So uh, we'll see. Real estate. Not doing a very good job. Commodities. Okay. Broke out. High basing. Doing okay. Again, we want to see that follow through, right? That rapid follow through. If we don't get that soon, I'm going to start to worry. I'm going to start to worry because, the commodity trade is based off continuing, printing 25% of GDP, right? More money printing. Um, so if we start getting into a situation where we're getting that M pattern, I don't think commodities are going to go higher, right? They're not going to go higher because people are going to just fucking sell everything. They're just going to try to raise cash. And believe me, this is a very small market. They remove a little bit of cash out of commodities. Woo-wee, look at that, right? Look at that. That was a very big move to the downside very quickly. So we have to be a little bit cautious on this. Um, Palladium, holding. Copper, back up. All right, looking good, looking good. All right, let's see if this continues to go higher. And if we were to encompass everything as of now, it's looking like this, a little megaphone-ish. Okay, we'll see how this works. Base metals pushing back up. Agriculture holding that high base. Uh, Precious metals pulling back a little bit. Okay, commodities. All right, they're doing okay. Just need to see that follow through. Sugar cane is doing this. All right, that's not very bullish. So keep an eye on that. We need to see an incredibly bullish move or something. Corn, all right, pushing higher. It's doing what it's supposed to. Wheat, doing the same thing. Steel, it's okay. Soybeans, all right, it's up against the resistance area, building that pressure. Let's see if it can finally push through. Dollar, right, big pop. And this kind of goes with um, the VIX theory, right? Okay, that's great that it popped back up. We had that structure. It wasn't doing a very good job to break down, although it did break down from this structure. There's no doubt about that. It just didn't do a very good job, right? So now it's coming back up, testing this area again. And, if the dollar is being bought, does that give you that confidence that the stock market is going to go higher? No, right? It's just saying, oh, it's a fear indicator. And people are going to pile back into the dollar. So, we got to pay attention to that. Special drawing rights of the IMF. Let's go to the daily, align, structure above a structure. Okay, still basing out, vibing. US dollar Japan. Okay, broke this structure. Let me break it up a little bit. Broke this structure. Okay, that's what it's supposed to do. Clearly, a 1, 2, 3 down. Didn't go much lower. It didn't go much lower. It didn't do a very good job breaking from the structure. It did correct, of course, right? But now it's correcting to the upside. So let me remove this since it accomplished what it needed to accomplish. All right, let's see. Let's see how this is going, how much this is going to run. But again, to me, when the dollar starts to rise, it's not very bullish. Euro naturally does the opposite. Pound back to the bottom of the structure. You could buy the pound here. Very nice risk reward. Very nice risk reward. You can buy it here. Okay. Could go a little bit lower, right? Maybe do something like this and back up, or breaks down. Either way, if it does form a structure in here, okay, if it's doing it for too long, get out. You don't have to wait too long. But you can take it to the long side. Or you can wait for the short. It's up to you, whatever. Because the structure is bearish, right? It is bearish. I'll put the little arrow in there to signal it for next video. All right. So it's up to you which way you want to take it. To the long side, so long as it's within the structure, the bias to the upside, blah, blah, blah. US dollar Turkish lira continues its devaluation. US dollar is, you know, I don't want to say strengthening too much, but there you go. All right, it did have a nice move down today. USD CAD big pump. Right, we were looking for that bear flag, and this is again the beautiful thing about risk rewards, right? Um, you had the next bias to the downside, and it did what? The opposite. So stop out there. Australian dollar USD uh, starting to rise. New Zealand dollar starting to rise, but it did have a very big pullback. Huh? Both of them. Take it to a bigger one. Go back to Australia. Still holding above this trend line here. Okay, but more or less it's vibing. There's Australia. Sorry. Okay, so pulling back again. Look for that next move higher. US dollar, Chinese yuan, new low. Okay, and that's about it. So the message of the market net from what we just went through, and you guys should do this every day, uh, is that we're probably at some point, we're going to, for right now, the bias is to the upside, right? That prices will go up. If this does start to break down in the Nasdaq, if it starts to break down, we're probably going into a M pattern, which is going to strengthen the dollar. Fear, right? VIX should spike. Commodities will probably sell off. Okay, um, and obviously, if the dollar spikes, then you're going to have weakness in the pound, in the euro, and the Australian dollar, and so forth. Uh, that would be the ideal situation for us because it'll give us that signal that what, we're probably going to go into a bear market at some point in the future. Uh, you know, in the near future. Okay. Um, but for now, again, the bias is to the upside. I don't want to confuse people, right? And it is doing what we said at the beginning of the video, right? It is doing it. So let's see now. Is this going to be it? I don't know. Is this going to be the hook, and then we'll end up in a bear flag? I don't know. Um, we'll see. There's 13 minutes left in the session. Anybody have any questions? You want me to answer? Wait, I don't have my. Why don't I see the questions? What the hell is going on here? Wow, that's strange. What did I? Oh, here we go. Is this it? Where the hell is? I can't see you guys chat. Uh, if someone would be gracious enough to put it in the Patreon chat if there's any questions, if they're not from our group, so I can answer it because I can't see the. I cannot see the questions. I'm still trying to figure out why the chat is not here. Sorry. Very weird. Anyway, I'll figure that out later. I want to do something, then the video cuts out. All right. So let's see what this thing does. Let's chart it out. This definitely looks funky, doesn't it? It's not enough of a hook, but still, it's funky looking, right? Even if it were to hook here, it's, I don't know. I don't trust that. Not something that I recognize. So either this thing has to continue to push up into the close, okay, or this is going to end up being a 1, 2, 3 down. All right, 1, 2, 3 down. And if that happens, that's going to be interesting because it does have the ability to break the structure now because you had this consolidation in here, right? And if these people start to puke it up, then you can see a very thrusty kind of move in a wave 3 down. Thrusty kind of way move down. Okay. Now, let's say it does happen. That does happen. Well, it's not the end of it. I don't think it will continue to go down. I think what you'll end up seeing is something, back to the magnet, right, to the support area, to that trend line. And but that would signal that if it were to do that, then the next likely thing to happen is that it starts building a structure below a structure, and then it starts to fall, and then it suddenly doesn't look all that awkward from the head and shoulders, right? It doesn't look like a straight shot down, like awkward, unrecognizable kind of pattern. So that's a kind of, I mean, there's a lot of ifs in that, a lot of cute stories, but that's just from my experience what I would expect to happen. It's a cute story to meet my target area. I'm gonna go outside my house and take a look and see if everything is okay. Yep, everything is fine. Everything is fantastic. Beautiful. It's beautiful, I tell you. Very beautiful. That's not that's not a gay accent, by the way. That's an old lady accent. Especially the kind that go to West Palm Beach. Oh, that's wonderful. It's wonderful. It's great. All right, let's go through the Twitter real quick. Forgot to do that. I mean, I did it in the morning, but forgot to do it here. Um, Yeah, we talked about this a little bit in the chat, right? Oh, MMT is like, oh, there's no local currencies that default. Really? Really? Well, that's not true. All right. This is from the Bank of Canada. The green is local currency defaults. And the rest of them, no nation goes into foreign debt unless the local currency is garbage. So all currencies default on local currency. Hotel occupancy rate has flattened out. Okay. Consumer price index. We talked about this before, right? 42% of the CPI is um, uh, real estate, housing. Okay. So if they're willing to accept higher than 2% inflation, good luck with that. Then you would have to see a very high, a very big push in real estate, in housing. And you look at San Francisco down 30%. You look at New York. You look at that's not going to happen anytime soon. I'm telling you. It's just yup, 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 bullshit. Okay. And again, long-term inflation, right? Doesn't look like we're going to get any inflation anytime soon. Um, because that money keeps flowing into the savers. So the asset price inflation is what you'll see. Uh, Unemployment claims, yeah, 898, right? Starting to tweak back up again. Wow, who would have thought that? It's a V-shaped recovery. Yeah, V-shaped back to historic levels of unemployment, right? V-shaped recovery. So yeah, look at the rental apartment vacancies, downtown versus suburban, right? Everybody's losing their job. Everybody's leaving. Like I told you, I went downtown yesterday. Philly, fucking ghost town, zombie apocalypse. It's like a not even in a blizzard uh, when we used to have them in Philly. Did I see it so empty? You know, very bad. Lockdowns are starting down again. You know, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. Daniel saying that England is pretty much going into a second lockdown, but it is fucking complicated. Yeah, yeah, it's a shit show, man. It's again, if you're gonna lock down, fucking lock down, do it right. Otherwise, the socioeconomic impact is 10 times worse. You're not fixing anything. You're not doing it right. It's childish. And I think that's what politics, in the end of the day, is childishness. You know, well, I want this and I want that and I want some of that and oh, I'll have some of this and I want that too. Yeah, but you can't have it all. No, but I do. I want it all. Yeah, but you can't eat it. It won't fit in your little belly. No, I want it now. That's a good one, Daniel. All right. Well, that's about it. 2 minutes left to go in the session. We'll wait for the 2 minutes. You never know what happens. But nothing there. It's just try to bottom today, pushing back up. Okay. Falling wedge. Um, for tomorrow, I wouldn't touch this. Okay. But the bias is to the upside, right? Um, we'll see. We'll see how the rest of the night goes when Asia opens and so forth. But so long as you're within this structure, the bias is to the upside, and for that reason, but I wouldn't touch it. I wouldn't touch this right now. Would I be interested on the long side if it were to drop? Yeah, on a hook, I would take it to the long side, but I would be neutral for tomorrow with a bias to the upside. Okay. Um, let's see what the Googles of the world do tomorrow. Okay. Um, it failed. It failed here. So we'll see. Again, I would be interested if it came down to the bottom to see how it's going to react. S&P, right? We said it was a limp tick formation, right? Acceleration to the downside with a pop. All right, you see it? I'll leave this one up here for tomorrow. All right, got the pop. Let's see what, you know, transpires from this. Uh, but as far as the limp tick formation goes, it's kind of met its target. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know. If we do this, which is valid, okay, and we'll do that for tomorrow. We'll leave it like this for tomorrow. Take out everything else. It's not telling us anything we need to know. Um, you know, broke a little bit below, popping back up, and let's see how this is going to behave tomorrow. It's going to be very telling, I think. Again, if we start to fail here, that's not a good thing, right? We start going into that M pattern. So tomorrow is going to be important. I'll try to come on earlier if there's something there, and overall for the market today, S&P was flat, Nasdaq down 0.5%, uh, small caps up 0.9%, transportation flat. Yeah, that's about it. Okay, just a follow through from yesterday with a correction at the end. All right, guys. Don't forget patreon.com/RealMacro. Real. Why is it real? Because you can point to it and you can say, "Yep, that's real." Okay. And before I go, I'll let you see this again. Okay. Sovereign currency defaults. Okay, and you can see here local currency, local currency, local currency. Something that MMT tells you that no, it cannot happen. They don't default in local currency, only foreign. Bullshit. All right, bullshit. It's just garbage, 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 garbage. That's not reality. This is reality. The world does not revolve around a spreadsheet. Okay. All right, guys. Take care. I'll talk to you soon, man.